All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to, I guess, another opinion video. This is gonna be a little bit of a weird one. The premise of it, and you can't really tell by the picture, but the premise of it is, my kind of opinion or standing 1 week, or 5 days, 5 working days technically, I would call it 1 week, of having my new job. If you followed the Chris Allen lore of the channel, you'll know I've gotten a job at a mailroom near Midtown Manhattan. And this is kind of me touching base after a week and describing how it is, how I feel, and what's going on. Now, the image, as sometimes is the case, is indicative of what we might talk about, and, that has to kind of do with it. Now, I've gone through a lot. I've gone through a lot mentally through these past 5-6 days of having the job, and while this is nothing necessarily new for me, I mean, you wouldn't know that. Hopefully, you're a first-time viewer watching, or you just, you're obviously not one of my friends, but maybe that might change. But, yeah, I might have to explain a lot of stuff. So I didn't even know if I wanted to necessarily make this how I'm planning to make it. I mean, there's no script or anything, but I'm going to be saying things that I've predetermined I would say, and some stuff just as I go along. But I plan to go over a lot of stuff in this one. I mean, I don't know how long it is. I don't know how much I'll actually go over, but this one's been difficult to think about and to actually get up and do, because I've just been in so many different mental spaces, and I really don't know what that exactly means, but my mind has basically been all over the place in a mostly bad way. Some good, mostly bad. And I've calmed down now. Right now, I'm decently calm. I don't know if that's because my body is adjusting, or my mind, rather, is adjusting to what's happening, or I'm just accepting it, or what. Or maybe because I spent the whole day doing things I like with my friends, maybe I'm calm because of that, because I did something that brings me some joy. I don't know. But right now was, if not the best time, is probably going to be the best time to do it before I revert back to some bad thoughts that will undoubtedly come back, and I'm dreading those coming back, but whatever. I mean, we're already 3 minutes into this, and I've barely described the job yet, so that's going to be the first part, me describing the job. So, trying to be as unbiased as I can. The job itself is really easy. Now, it's a job, obviously, in Midtown Manhattan, so there's an expectation here. And I talked about this before in my other opinion videos about minimum wage jobs and everything. But in general, to kind of sum up what I said in that video, a lot is expected of you, and not enough is given back to you for what you do. Now, in this job, and I really hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, from if my job ever finds this and I'm still in it, hopefully this doesn't do anything bad to me, but who knows. I feel like I have to make this just to get it out there and air my mind out, and hopefully this will help someone, and if not, it helps me in some cathartic way. But anyway, I'm getting off topic again. The job itself is really easy. There's a lot expected at a baseline level, in the sense that, yeah, we're supposed to wear a suit, yeah, we're supposed to follow, give the best customer service possible, and, be the best, and once you see the people in the job and how the job actually is, if you're in this type of job at the low end, you're like, yeah, they say all that because they kind of, want you to be the best, but you know how it really is. Excuse me. People realistically aren't that way, especially in customer service. Some people go above and beyond, and I am kind of close to one of those that go above and beyond to try and make you have the best customer service possible that I can at least provide, but aside from being kind, cordial, and just, generally polite and not a dickhead, it's not too hard to do that. Although it is mentally taxing to do it to some people that are rude, it's not that bad. But in general, yeah, the job itself is easy. I don't want to go in too much detail because I don't want to accidentally say something I'm not supposed to. But yeah, generally, I mean, it's a mailroom messenger center job, and there's not a lot of work currently, either because of COVID or probably because of COVID and probably because it's near the holidays. But the job itself is easy. The problems I have with it, which we'll go into in a little bit, are a little plentiful. But in general, the coworkers are really nice. They're very accepting. They're very cool, you know. We're of different ranges of life. Like, we're in a wide age range, different people, different upbringings, but we get along very well because we're respectful, and I have no real problem with the coworkers or the supervisor. They're all great people. It's just the job itself has a plus side and a downside. The plus side is it's an easy job, and that's basically, I mean, that's a really good plus side. And another plus is there's not much to do. So it's easy. The work itself isn't complicated. It's a pretty easy work, and there's not much of it to do. But on the flip side, that's one of the first negatives. There's not much to do. So a lot of the time I'm sitting there staring at a wall. And again, this is just specific to the job. We'll get into me personally and why this is a bad point for me, but to give you a little spoiler, it's a bad point for me because the type of person I am, the more I think bad thoughts, and if I'm given free time to think, I think a lot of bad thoughts. And again, I don't know how much I'll go into of why that is, because when I get stressed out as much as I did this past week, I think a lot. And while a lot of those were bad thoughts, I tried to make some of them productive and just, in general, try and understand why I'm in the position I am, why I am the way I am. And I'll try and maybe describe that later, but in general, that is why it's also a positive and a negative. When given too much time of doing nothing, I either get really bored, which, you know, is obvious, but some people, you know, don't mind that. I thought I didn't mind that, but I mind that because I just keep thinking for the future and other thoughts that really do not do well for me. But other than that, the other negatives are it's really far away. Well, not really far. It's like an hour and 20 minutes if I catch the express train. If I don't catch the express train, that shit's probably like an hour and a half at least. Assuming there's no delays, which it's the 6 line. Like, come on, there's going to be delays. So I would say like it takes an hour and 20 and then another hour and 20 for me each day to go there and come back. To put it in perspective, at least 12 hours of my day goes to this job. Going there, doing whatever I need to do, working, taking lunch, working again, and coming back. I wake up around 7 in the morning, sometimes maybe a little before like 6:50s. I leave my house 7:15, 7:20. I get there, and by the time I leave and get back home, it's like 7:25-ish. So at least 12 hours of my day are spent on this job. And mentally, it took an adjustment. I used to do something similar to this for college, and it was honestly even worse sometimes. No, actually it was worse, because in college, when I had a job too, and I was going to college, I used to get up at like, what was it, 5:30 a.m.? Or 5:40? What was it, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Yeah, I used to have to be there at 7, so I got up at like, maybe like 5:40 a.m. And from 5:40 a.m. until about 9 o'clock at night, or 8:40, I wouldn't get home for one day. Now granted, that was one day though. The big difference with this job is it's 5 days a week. It takes 12 hours out of my day. It literally takes half of my day away 5 times of the week. And mentally, that's been an adjustment. Again, the good and bad thing is, the job itself is easy and there's not much to do and the coworkers are nice. But the bad part is, I feel like I'm wasting my time there even though I'm getting paid. And I feel like my soul is being sucked out of me. But we'll get into that. But the other negatives, it's really far as the first one. There's a lot of free time, which is also a negative and a positive. And they make me wear a suit and dress shoes, which are really uncomfortable. And I mean, that's a little complaint, but it's a complaint. Oh, and another complaint is just where the area is. It's in Manhattan. It's expensive. I mean, I'm kind of nitpicking here. These are not that big complaints. Because again, the job itself is fine. These are just little nitpicks that would be nicer if they were changed, especially the distance one. Honestly, if the distance one was changed, I'd be a lot better feeling with the negatives of this job. But the distance one is the biggest negative. Aside from distance, though, the suit is annoying, but it's dealable with. The prices of everything in the location are really high, but it's dealable with, kind of. The hour lunch is annoying, because I get an hour for lunch, but that's also dealable with, because, I'd rather have no lunch and just get home after 8 hours, but the extra hours being spent there is annoying, but whatever. It's annoying, but I'll deal with it. So yeah, I mean, that's basically the job. It's easy. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's not a hard job. It's a mailroom, kind of. It's a messenger center mailroom. Coworkers are nice. It's not a bad job. It's not hard. It's okay. It's good. It's whatever. It's not bad. And I said the negatives. Now, the big problems I have and why I basically had a real big breakdown this whole week, even up until today. I'm still very upset about it. I'm just very calm right now. But it's just mentally, this has made me think about my life, myself. It's made me do a lot of introspection, and a lot of stuff has gone through my mind. A lot of bad thoughts, which I won't mention here. I might go over some of them. I'll definitely go over some of them, but not the more serious ones that I've been having. But in general, though, this job, and not just this job, but in general, whenever there's a major change to my way of doing things, I don't handle change well. I'm a very methodical sort of person, where once I get into the groove of things, even if it's good, even if it's bad, I get used to it, and I like things I'm used to. And if that's changed, especially in a huge, big way that I'm not used to and goes against a lot of my comfort zones, I get extremely, extremely crazy. Like, just mentally, I almost blow up. This past week, I have felt so alone, so isolated, so much despair, so much sadness. I've been, and me being a man in America, we can't talk about our feelings. I'm gonna talk about them. I have almost cried and been on the verge of tears so many times in the past week, but I've held it back because I was in public most of those times, and by the time I get home, I'm so mentally and physically exhausted that I just knock out, even though I don't want to, because I don't want the next day to come. And I apologize if this is depressing, but I really just want to get it out there, how I've been feeling. It's just been so terrible that, like, I've been talking to people, and I've just had to fight back, just bursting out into tears out of just pure sadness at myself. And it's like I said before, and I'm gonna keep reiterating it. It's not a lot of sadness for the job itself. It's what it's made me think and just made me realize. And I have a negative outlook of looking at things. There's no way of really knowing, again, if what I'm saying is positive or not. But in general, it's made me think a certain way, and it's been really bad. So, what am I basically saying here? At first, a lot of what I do is I blame myself. Right? I blame myself for the way things are because that's just how I am. Now, in this job, it's made me think, right? Am I going to be stuck in this type of job that I don't like for the rest of my life? And that was a really big thing, because at first, maybe it'll get better over time, me getting used to the job and stuff. But my whole thing is, I don't know. I obviously, I do not like what I'm doing. It's not fulfilling. And I thought I'd be okay with that, but I'm not really that okay with it. I realize I want something in life that's fulfilling. Now, if I have to settle, or if I'm forced to, or if I need to, I'll obviously do something like this, because this isn't the worst thing in the world. A lot of people do a lot harder jobs for a lot less and struggle a lot more. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm not in that bad of a position. But, just thinking of it like in my own little space, I'm really upset, again, with mostly myself, because am I going to be stuck in this job that for most of my day, I'm not really doing much, which some people would like to do. And I again, it's a like-hate relationship with me, but it's like, it's sucking out my soul, it's dulling out my mind. And a lot of the problems I have come from my childhood, but we might get into that, is when I get stuck in a routine, again, I don't like change, so it's really hard for me to change something once I get used to it. And I'm scared of getting used to this job. I'm scared of getting used to the fact that, like, I'm gonna go from like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. 5 days a week in a job that really isn't fulfilling and really doesn't do anything for me, provides a little bit more than minimum wage. And my whole life, and I'm not blaming other people, I just want to make that clear right now. I'm not saying the things I'm about to say to blame anyone else or anything. I'm just saying it because it's, I think, the effect it's had on me and just the effect of it in general. A lot of people my whole life, even, recently, have said, Chris, you're smarter, you could do so much greater, you could do so much more. And regardless of whether it's true or not what they say, it's what I believe that is really the important part and what affects my decisions and how I act. And despite even if they're right, if they are right, but I think they're wrong, I'm gonna act as if I'm not smart, which again, I don't think I am. I think I'm not stupid, well, in some respects, but I also don't think I'm smart in other respects too. I feel like everyone is good at something, but that doesn't necessarily make a person smart. But smart is a really hard term to define, and we're not going to try and even attempt to do that here because that goes into all sort of theoretical discussions, and this video is already going to be all over the place. But a lot of people have put this expectation on me, and despite how independent I try to be from other things, I try not to let other things affect me, they do. They really honestly do. And everyone constantly saying, you could do so much better, you could do great things, you're destined for this bar that's so high, and you're really smart, you could do so much. And then for me to get to this job and struggle even getting this job, I mean, maybe that's me not realizing how the world is, and even the people who are successful have to go through this, but I just feel like I've set a false expectation in my head from what other people have said, and it's kind of been shattered by reality, and it hurts. It honestly really hurts, because I personally think I could do this job well. Obviously, there's some... It happens in every job. You have to get used to it. You have to learn the ins and outs. Obviously, you're going to make mistakes. I've made some mistakes already, and, it's gone well. Again, the job is good. But, in general, I personally do think I could do more than just this job. I am smart enough to do more than just this job, and I feel like I'm, first of all, not doing something I want, because if you gave me the option of all the money in the world, the best way to find out what you want to do is pretend you had all the money in the world. What would you do at that point on your free time, or just normally? What would you want to do? And that should be your job. But unfortunately, we don't live in a society where that can always happen, or people are lucky enough or have enough drive or are just good enough to even do that. And I'm scared that isn't me. Because obviously, what would I do every day if I had nothing else to do? Play video games. Now, again, this is going off track, but to try and get back on track, I don't want to get used to the fact that I have to do a job for money. Because first of all, getting money doesn't really fulfill me. I want more money. But getting money itself doesn't really feel good to me. Obviously, having money, you need money. And not having money is way worse than having it. Like, the problems I have now would be exponentially worse if I didn't have money. But, yeah, like, money gain isn't that big of a priority to me after having this job for, like, the 1 week. And who knows, maybe I'm just speaking out of my ass because I'm in a bad headspace right now. But in general, I'd rather take less money and enjoy the job and be fulfilled. This job almost fills out that criteria. I'm just not fulfilled because there's not much to do, and the coworkers are nice. I wish I could transfer these coworkers into a field I liked, and then I'd be very fulfilled and I'd be very happy. Now, this is the next big issue, and this is an issue I've had my whole life, on top of many others, is I have a lot of fear. And I think this does come from my childhood. I've had a rough childhood, and I'm not going to get into the details, and I'm not saying this to create a sob story for myself. Again, I'm trying to just say the facts how they are and how I think they've affected me. I'm not looking for anyone's sympathy. But, I'm a very weak emotional person. I've realized it. I wanted to go through my life not relying on anyone else, not needing anyone else, and that's largely in part because I did have at least two people, which were my grandparents, always by my side. I've always had them, and I'm not gonna have them forever. And it hurts. It hurts knowing that because, again, to not give too much details, but throughout my childhood, I really didn't have. My mom tried her best. We'll say that. I didn't have my dad there for a while. Well, at all, I would say. Maybe he was there for the first couple years, but he wasn't a good man necessarily. There's a lot of stuff he did that wasn't good. And my mom did try her best, and for a good bit of time, she did good. Not, she did what any single mom could try and do in her situation. But unfortunately, she, um, to put it in a nice way, didn't really follow through with being a good mom, and she basically left the picture. So, for a good part of my childhood, I only had my mother, and then after that, I lost that too. Even though she's still alive, there's other details I'm not going to include, but she was basically gone. At that point, my grandparents took me in, and they were always a pillar of support for me. But they couldn't provide for me as much as a normal family could. And when I was younger, it didn't bother me. But as I've gotten older, I've not only seen that the stuff I've went through with my mother and my family in general has not only affected me, it's affected me in a bad way. And it's just, I don't know. I'm a very weak emotional person, and the reason why I've wanted to be independent was because I've had to be since childhood, or at least that's what I think. Again, I'm no doctor. I don't know for sure, but these are just my thoughts on it. I've had to be independent because I lost, my mom and my dad split up, and then my mom kind of left the picture. And when you're being cared for by grandparents who, are old and don't go out and don't even speak English, a lot of stuff like school and just in general stuff like that, you're on your own for. And being a shy, introverted kid who liked video games and was kind of pudgy, it didn't exactly work out too well for me in high school. I wasn't the most popular kid. I had friends, and I was very, very thankful for those friends. But I didn't go out and experience things as other kids did. And this is me assuming at this point that normal kids experience stuff with their moms, their dads. They go out to different places. They experience different things. And again, my mom tried that when I was younger, when she was still around, but it didn't work out that long because she left pretty quickly. So for most of my childhood life, I would say I didn't have a good upbringing, or a normal upbringing. It was good because of my grandparents. They gave me stuff I'm very thankful for, and I still rely on them emotionally, but the fact that they're going to be gone, it's gotten to the point where I feel personally that I'm too weak of a person to survive on my own, which is why whenever I think of the future, I always think it's going to go downhill. And because of the experiences I've had in the past with my family, I not only have a negative way of thinking, I'm also, because of just generally how I am. Now, you can argue how much of what I am is based on my experiences or just how I am in general. That's something we'll never know, because you can never tell how much of a person is actually just how they are versus how they've been molded by their environment. But for me, I just count it as a mix of both. And I can't give a percentage because it's impossible to tell these sort of things, at least, where we are now. I don't know if you could ever tell them, but in general, I would like to think, unless you know me, unless I know you and I like you and you're my friend and I can be honest with you, I'm generally very shy, very introverted, and a lot of that is due to fear. I'm very scared because of the experiences I got growing up, because I think in general I would have been very introverted. But I think a big part of that has to do also with fear. And that's because of my upbringing. Now, because of that, I feel that I'm going to be stuck in this situation with this job that doesn't fulfill me, I don't like, and is kind of annoying, which again isn't the end of the world, but it's a feeling of dread of like, it's better than what could be after that if I had no job and if I was, poor and if I was homeless, it'd be a lot worse. But from where I'm at now, and I do overreact to things, and again, there's always an adjustment period. This happened when I joined college too. Because it was such a big change, I thought about these things initially there. Now that I'm older and I've thought about them over time, I can expand upon them more, and I could think about them more critically. But Excuse me. I know this is all over the place and I apologize, but it's just I worry for my future, and I'm in the position where my biggest worry is, will I be in a job that leaves me unfulfilled, that leaves me like a drone, that my soul's being sucked out and I'm making almost little money? And I mean, obviously, suffering is relative. A person getting tortured isn't suffering as much as me, but I feel like terrible. I honestly feel terrible. I feel like my soul's getting sucked out, and some people are willing to put up with it. Some people enjoy it, some people don't. Everyone's different. But me personally, I feel if I do a job like this my whole life, if I don't get used to it, I'm scared of getting used to it. I'm scared and terrified of getting used to a job that I don't like, but I need to have, and it's gonna suck out my soul. And it's just scary because I'll feel unfulfilled, and I'll just feel like shit. And it's a big change not having free time. Usually my days now, I'll have 1 to 1.5 hours of free time during the weekdays and a little bit during the weekends, and I feel like that's such a terrible way to live life because you're already doing something that's not fulfilling you during the weekdays. And then at the end of the day, I mean, I know I'm complaining a lot, but this is, what it goes back to. At the end of the day, people say, oh, you have to lift yourself up out of that position. But the problem with me is because of my upbringing, it's very hard for me to change. And I'm a very weak person in general, and I just don't feel like I'm capable of doing things that might be so simple for other people. It's super hard for me. It used to be super hard for me to do basic things, and I did get better at it. A lot of social stuff. But there's still things that I just don't think I'll ever be able to get over because of my upbringing and how it's affected me. And I don't want to get used to a life where I'm unfulfilled, I'm unhappy, and I'm almost doing nothing in a mailroom for the rest of my life. But I don't think I'm smart enough, or even if I am smart enough, I'm holding myself back too much because of my mental problems. And I just fear I'll be stuck in this little box forever, and it terrifies me. Because again, as my life goes on, I don't see it getting better, I see it getting worse. Obviously, my grandparents go away, I'm still stuck in this job, life just gets harder, and I'm very introverted, so there's no woman. I'm very thankful for my friends. I love my friends, but they have their own lives to live. And while I hope I can rely on them, this is me trying to be independent. I don't ever expect to rely on them because not only is that unfair to them, it's just, I think, personally unrealistic because I'm not their family member, I'm their friend. They shouldn't have to deal with this. But now we're really going all over the place. But yeah, I mean, maybe in a couple weeks I'll get used to it and I'll see it's not that bad, or I'll change my opinion on stuff. But I mean, we're already reaching almost the half-hour mark, and I'm really starting to get sad now that I'm forcing myself to really think about it. So I'm trying to think, was there anything else I wanted to say? I don't know. It's been really terrible. It's been really bad. I mean, I hope it gets better, but I'm not a big believer in hope. And it really sucks because my mind is very logical, but it's illogical at the same time because I'm human. It's like I think of things, and there's some things that are very logical that are not human related. Like, okay, if you save money, you could buy more things. That's logical. If you don't spend money, if you buy things on sale, that's logical. But I think of logical things like, okay, if I don't ever have a woman, I'll never be cheated on, and then I'll never be in pain and stuff. But that's illogical. It's logical in a warped view, and I have a lot of warped views that I think are logical but are illogical. And my mind is just everywhere. I don't know. It's just really bad. This job has like forced me out of my comfort zone, and when I'm forced out of my comfort zone, I think. And when I think bad thoughts, and I just think I'm a weak person who just really can't do much, and I just don't think good things for the future. And then because I have so much free time in this job, I keep on thinking, and I don't know how to not think negative. I honestly wish I could turn off my brain or just become someone else for a moment, because I don't want to think these things, but I just do. And it's terrible. And I hate it. But I don't know what else to do. But the one thing I always said to myself when I was younger and I really always try to follow, is no matter how sad I get, I have to give it time. I have to give it time, and hopefully giving it time, I'll find a moment of strength where I can do something I wouldn't usually do, or I could push myself, or something might change, or some miracle might happen, even though I don't believe in those. I think of just, it's all luck. And something might change, but I always try and give it time. But the one thing I'm extremely scared of, and I've said it before, is that I'm gonna get used to it, and it's not gonna get better, and it's only gonna get worse. That's my fear, and that's what I'm assuming is gonna happen. But I hope it doesn't, and I'm gonna give it time to hope that it doesn't. And again, despite how I sound now, I'm way better than what I was in the beginning of this week and going through the week. Like, I think on Friday, yes, which was yesterday, it was extremely bad. Thursday was bad. This whole week it was bad. And I lose sleep over it, and I just feel like shit, and it's terrible. And I put on this, I wouldn't call it a mask or a facade at work, but I try not to let it show that it bothers me at work, because no one, again, wants to see that. And, I don't know if I'll lose my job over it, but who knows, maybe that might be good. I don't know anymore. But, I mean, yeah, there's my thoughts. I don't want this to go too long. I can always talk more about stuff, and especially this stuff. There's a lot of stuff I've omitted. But, I mean, hopefully this helps me air it out. And for those of you interested, I always think I have a need to justify my actions, at least with this too. Hopefully, like, this will help someone if they listen to it. Hopefully it'll help me air my head out a little bit, try and figure out what to do, and just make me feel better by saying it. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I hope you all enjoyed it. I apologize if this was all over the place, if it made people depressed, but I feel like I needed to make it because I need something to distract me, and games distract me, and I love games. I will still, play them. It's just I'm gonna have no time to do what I enjoy anymore. And when half of my day is going to something I don't really like or care about or am interested in, I feel like it takes a toll on you, and no one should be forced. And obviously this is the real world, things don't work like that, but no one should be forced to do something they don't want to do just to live. And obviously, again, then it goes on to the person of like, oh, then you have to take initiative, you have to take a stand, you have to figure out what you want to do and do what you want. And that's another big issue. I have no clue what I want, and I don't know how to find it because I'm too scared to try things that are new. And I'm trying here and there, but God, I don't know how other people do it so easily. I feel like it's so hard to do new things, especially alone. But I mean, yeah, this is all over the place. I'm just gonna end it here. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm out of here.